Correspondent Jody Cohen is in fact joining us live with more information on this. Jody, what is it that you're picking up at your end? Because these are crucial moments. The hostages had to be set free at about 4 p.m. It's well past 4:45 now, local time there. Have the Israeli hostages now been set free by Hamas?
Hi, Mohammed. So yes, as you said, this whole process has been delayed. We did hear shortly after 4 o'clock local time, which was the time that the Israeli hostages were supposed to be released. We heard that the Thai Prime Minister said that 12 Thai hostages out of the 36, I believe, Thai hostages who are being held by Hamas in Gaza, they have been released, and the Thai embassy staff are on their way to go and pick them up. And in the latest, we're hearing that the 13 Israeli hostages that were due to be released at 4 o'clock, it's now almost 5 o'clock, they are reportedly now in the hands of the Red Cross. They will be going towards the Rafah crossing into Egypt. Then they will be transported to hospitals in southern Israel. The priority will be to have a look. Nothing is known about their medical condition whatsoever. They haven't been visited by the Red Cross at all in these 49 days. So the priority will be to find out what their medical condition is like. They'll be speaking with medical staff, social services, trauma experts to really assess their condition.
Right.
They'll be, of course, reuniting with their families. And that's going to be a very bittersweet moment, because for some of them, they don't know exactly what's happened. Some of them are young children. They won't have understood what's happened. And they also don't know, some of them, that their relatives have been killed on that 7th of October attack.
Absolutely, indeed. And that is one part of the deal, Jody, because these are still reports that are coming in predominantly from the Israeli media that 13 of the Israeli hostages in the custody of Hamas have been handed over to the representatives of the Red Cross. But on the other side of the deal, 39 Palestinians, women and children, had to be released. Do we have any information about what the status is on that front?
Yes, so we've also been hearing that those 39 Palestinian prisoners, as you said, women and under 18, some of whom have been convicted of involvement in terror attacks and even attempted murder. We're hearing that they have been transferred to the Red Cross, or they're in the prison, the Israeli prison in the West Bank, and they're going to be transferred to the Red Cross. Similarly, with them playing that role in this transfer of the captives and the prisoners, they're going to be transferred then to their homes in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem as well.
Right, and also, considering the fact that, it's day 49 of this conflict, negotiations have been ongoing for so long, and it is now that a breakthrough has in fact been achieved. Give us a sense of what's in fact the talk within the Israeli political circles, because this ceasefire, if one can call it a ceasefire, is for a period of 4 days. What happens after that?
Yes, you're right. So over these 4 days, the agreement is that 12 or 13 Israeli hostages every day will be released by Hamas, and Israel will also enable the early release of around 35 Palestinian prisoners each day, up to a list of 150 prisoners. But what they're also saying is that there could be an extra 1-day pause for every 10 Israeli hostages who are released, and likewise they would then each day release approximately 30 Palestinian prisoners as well. So it remains to be seen if that happens. In terms of a ceasefire, there's very much a consensus here that the priority is to get as many hostages home as possible, but also the priority is to ensure that Hamas can't be in a position again where they can carry out an atrocity like killing 1,200 Israelis in 1 day and kidnapping 240 hostages and taking them back into Gaza.
Absolutely, indeed. And also, Jody, considering as to how delicate this situation is, what we've been witnessing are protests by the family members of the people who had been captured by Hamas and then were taken into the Gaza Strip. The family members in Israel had been staging protests day in and day out. They were demanding from the Netanyahu government that he should prioritize in bringing every single one of the hostages back. But from what we are picking up, from what the Israeli government has been talking about, they're talking about 50 Israeli hostages that they've secured, and then it's all conditional. If this happens and this could happen, you know, what are the family members of the hostages saying? Do they not want everyone should first be brought back home into Israel safe?
Right, but that also depends on the negotiation. If Israel had total control of the situation, then all 240 hostages would have been released unconditionally, or at least to be released without having to give the early release of Palestinian prisoners convicted of attempted murder. It's a very, very complicated situation. When you talk about the families protesting, I wouldn't actually use the word protesting. We have seen a handful of families trying to block the streets and things like that, you know, sort of things that we have seen over the 9 months of protests that have been going about in this country. But I would use the word vigil more. I would use the word, you know, it's been a unifying time where hundreds of, tens of thousands of people, I should say, have been showing their support for the families of the hostages, right, and wanting to make sure that the hostages being freed are absolutely a priority for the Israeli government. In terms of any feeling against Netanyahu and everything like that, that will be all considered in a commission of inquiry, and I'm sure elections will come as well. But the priority very much now is a feeling of unity to get the hostages home and to make sure that Hamas can't carry out such a massacre again.